If men are cheap, how cheap will they be when they find a Filipina? Exactly. So in my experience for being here on social media and as part of being a matchmaker, I've encountered a lot of cheap men. Men who did not want to sign up and men who laugh at my face and telling me that Filipina should be free because Filipinas are cheap anyway. And apparently they should not spend any penny to even match with a Filipina. It should be free. And for me, in my opinion, it is kind of risky to even match with this guy, or this guy will end up finding a Filipina. And if a Filipina will fall in love with this cheap man, oh boy, this Filipina will end up having a lot of headache. Because a lot of cheap men, especially foreigners, often they will complain such as, oh, don't send money to your mom, you should not be helping your parents in the Philippines. I mean, helping our parents in the Philippines is part of our culture, only if they deserve it. And often, Filipina will have a hard time dealing with cheap men because cheap men are more likely will become super duper strict with her, especially controlling her when it comes to money. And most of all, when he goes to the Philippines and meet her family, and if he finds out that he has to spend this and that for the sake of her family, more likely he will end up complaining on social media. And luckily for me, I found a man in my life who is not cheap. And the fact that I brought him to the Philippines and I made him aware that, hey, when we go to the Philippines, most of the time we have to feed my family because that is natural, that is normal. And my man was like, are you kidding me? Of course, yeah, feed your family, man. And my man would even offer, hey, what can we give to your family? What can we buy to your family? That way their life is comfortable. And for me, that makes me feel like, wow, that's every Filipina's dream, that their husband, especially foreigner, will offer to help her parents. And that is why I'm lucky to find a man who is not cheap. Otherwise, I cannot be with a cheap man. If I find out that you are cheap, I'm gonna be like, bye-bye. One pic profiles on dating site with little information is usually a scammer. And this also applies with foreigners as well. And little that many Filipina knows, there are actually a lot of foreigner scammers out there too, not just Filipina. And when it comes to my matchmaking service, you don't have to worry whether a Filipina or foreigner are scammers. Because the moment that you sign up and after I interview you, that's right, I interview people, not just Filipina but foreigners as well. You get to see profile photos of Filipina and foreigners that Filipina and foreigners provided them to me. And that is why the pictures that you get to see are actually legit. But then again, a lot of Filipinas or foreigners would rather invest their money and time to go on a dating website. On the contrary, perhaps match each other's energy and efforts, slowly get to know each other, and as time goes by, become each other's best friend as you two open up to one another. So he's basically talking about why Filipina tend to get hurt easily by a foreigner or any man they're talking to. Yes, Calvin, I completely understand what you're trying to say. So 3 years ago, I discovered something amazing about myself. I realized that I have a talent of reading people's energy. And that's part of the reason why I chose to become a matchmaker. And being a matchmaker made it so easy for me to match a male and a female. Because again, I can read people's energy. And being a matchmaker can also be a lot of challenge. Because most of the time, men who sign up to my matchmaking service, often they don't like to match with someone who is traditional Filipina. At first, they would say, oh, I'm looking for a Filipina who is traditional. But the moment that they sign up, interview them, and get to know them, that's when I would know who to match them. But when I give them the option of ladies for them to pick, and even if I tell them, guess what, I have a lady for you, the moment that they see option of ladies, they will suddenly forget that they are looking for a traditional Filipina. And because I'm giving them options, it would make them feel like, oh, guess what? This is not what I'm looking for. Actually, I'm looking for a model. I'm looking for an Instagram Filipina. And it makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm giving you the option of ladies that could be potentially your match, but Now you don't want to match with them. And this is when I learned that a lot of my clients, they don't usually look at the lady's full bio and what I says about them. They will scroll down right away on the very bottom to see what she looks like. Is she yummy enough? Is she beautiful enough? Is she attractive enough for me to make my ding dong like that? And it's not about quality anymore. It's more like quantity for them. And because I'm presenting them options, the more they are having a hard time picking the right one. And if I give them one or two options, they would say, can I see more? And then when they see more, they get so overwhelmed. And a lot of them, they don't listen to my advice, even though they signed up to me. And some of my clients who took my advice, they found their match right away, because the moment that I get to know who they are and found out the kind of ladies they're looking for, boom, I found a match for them. But then they were like, oh yeah, I really like her. I'm gonna meet her soon.